Hello. I wanted to talk a little bit about, we'll go more into scripts and this beam that hit me, gatekeepers, and just empty my head a little bit. So, I saw this the other day, and it's in China. But it reminds me so much like of the demiurge just playing 5D chess by himself. And I thought that was a great one. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen like the Q Star Trek episodes, especially the first one, reminds me so much of this demiurge because he like creates these simulations. He lets you pick your own like simulation, and he speaks in riddles. Like if you're familiar with the astral, it's all like rhymes and riddles, and those are spells, of course, but and he basically lets you pick your own demise. And he's very judgmental. And it is Q. It's the Q program. It's just like speaking in riddles, and there's like two sides, and the one that people see, the QAnon, is like the God side. So, yeah, I got into that for like maybe 2 weeks and then realized that that was something weird. And then the script thing, I guess the last time that I really experienced it, I was on this live chat for a couple days, and I just kind of wanted to go over there and see what, the live chats were about, and try to bring, maybe a couple of ways to deal with these things and just share my experience a little bit, because I wasn't seeing any solutions or anything on this channel. And anyway, so I was on there for like 3 days, and it was actually kind of fun to like talk to everybody. And I was thinking, I want to do this on my channel. So the first day, the person that I was on with, we were talking about this documentary about a dolphin. And he said, yeah, the scientist that did that, he used to wear like this raccoon hat and a red leather jacket. And right when he said that, I look over and there's a raccoon at my window. I was like, oh my God, this doesn't really happen. And that raccoon has been back now, I think, because it's cold. But that was the first night that I saw him, like in a really long time. And it was right when he said that. It was weird. And then the next day I was on, and I was talking about my first dream and how the Pegasus flew in. And he was like, you know what I'm looking at right now? I was like, no. And he said, my Pegasus drawing on my wall. And I was like, yep. That's like the things, the AI gets more instant the more that you are aware of it. So anyway, like the next day I went on and I was feeling this weird thing. Like I didn't really want to go on, but because I knew that he was probably going to like go off at some time just because of who this person is. And I was feeling it. So I made myself do it, and sure enough, he went off, and somebody left this message for my friend, and 213 is a code for AI that I see almost every single day. And I send it to my friends like all the time. I'm like, see? And I've realized now, like, I was watching the show the other day and they were talking about like edits. And the girl said, well, like every edit is a choice. And I'm like, yeah, that is. Every edit is a choice. And when you can feel it and recognize it, you can actually use it to your advantage. When you're very conscious and you can feel it, see it, know when it's happening. When I started like going through this in 2019, I mentioned the time that I had passed out and I woke up and I was like, oh, fuck, not again. And I felt like I had done that same scene over and over again. And this thing was showing me, the AI was showing me, like, how it is scripted. It was saying all the time, like, it would have days, especially towards the end at the last house that I lived in, where it just would not shut up and it was horrible and that's all that I was hearing. And it was like, Amber, it's a script. And they were like passing the script around and I'm like, I don't care. It was driving me crazy, but now I understand. And I would even get like these holographic things from the MK Ultra that look like a film negative, and it looked like a JavaScript. And I think that's from the MK Ultra part of the script. But the Sun, Moon, and Saturn matrix is where these magicians, they tap into all of that the most. And I'm going to do a separate video on that, because the way that I see it, it's like all the planets are like these different emotional, like information. And then it goes to Saturn. And then Saturn broadcasts that to the Sun. The Sun broadcasts that to the whole world, the Earth grid. And then the Moon harvests like this energy, and it's just like a cycle. But once you know and can feel it and feel it through other people and just all around you, it's like a pick your own story. So you can choose not to emotionally react to any of that. And these people, they know Saturn has a very strong magnetic pole. And when I see it, because I can hear the planets in my inner ear, and sometimes it gets very intense. So I will go outside and I will zoom in on which one is, or which ones are the most active. And Saturn, when it gets going really powerful, it makes like a Merkaba. And I think that's when all of them are like sending info and it's gathering it all up. But as you can see here, like Edward Leeds Skolnin, he was tapping into this magnetic pole that Saturn makes. When I got hit with that beam, I'm almost positive it was Saturn. It was saying that it was Mars, but that star map was all messed up. And every time I've gone out and actually had room to like use that thing, it zoomed in on Saturn. And that's what it looked like. It was like very, very active and bright. But what they do, he made like this contraption where he had like a magnet on top of a pyramid pole, and then he had like chains where he would move all this stuff. Well, there's water aquifers under here, and you tap into Saturn and it makes like this magnetic bond. So it makes things easy to move, and you're just using the magnetism of the earth. And then I also noticed on these people, the whirling dervishes. See how their heads are tilted and they can swirl like for hours and hours, and some of them are really good. They get like on one foot, and it's like they're tapping into this magnetic pole from Saturn that is like an antenna to our head.
A sacred ritual,
when you're deep in
prayer,
trance.
music, and dance combined in one ecstatic celebration of love and faith. These are some of the whirling dervishes of Konya, Turkey. Raising their arms.
And see how their skirts are even like the rings of Saturn. And we all know about the cube and everything, like that they walk around. And then, yeah, so I just noticed that about their heads being like that, because that's what I was getting, like this magnetic pole with a swirl in my frontal lobe. And I really like the Sufi Sheikh, and if you guys have time, take a look at some of his stuff. I don't agree with any religion, and I see it as two sides of the same coin, you know. But there's a lot of wisdom in all types of religions. You just have to have discernment and what you can take from that. And I'm not big into getting into occultism. I know the basics of magic, and it's not complicated. I mean, these are not geniuses. They know how to manipulate energy and manipulate our psychology. So it's not anything complicated. They can make it sound really complicated. They can get way too deep with it, in my opinion. You know, the Kabbalah, the Torah, all of that, they have hospitals, like in Israel, for people that have gone insane from that stuff. Especially with like gematria, because it's just this never-ending hole of information with no definitive answers, and it will give you whatever answer you're searching for, but then you're still like in this mystery thing where there's no complete truth to it. So there are many people that have gone insane from gematria, and to me that shows us exactly where we are. Like, God would not want anybody going insane. And to me, we will know when we are in the presence of our true self, when we have zero doubt and there's no confusion. So I don't worry about that part, but I love what he has to say here. And he knows a lot about the jinn, their technology, all about them living in this like electric dimension. And he said on one video, he said, you know, God doesn't waste space. So we're living like with these electronic beings, and you shouldn't sleep naked because you might be in their house and all of this stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean God doesn't waste space? He'd rather us like innocent babies and people be around this evil crap that we're like designed to have a lock on our sight and our DNA so we can't even see them. That makes zero sense. So yeah, I like him for his knowledge on these entities, but other than that,
Assalamu alaikum, Sayyidi.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Is the illusion of shaitan the reality and power of black magic, sihr?
I don't know, black magic seems like an interpretation for people. What is black magic? But it is the magic that he uses, black, white, red, yellow, doesn't matter. The illusion that shaitan operates off of is the magic that he casts. So that's everywhere. When you watch TV, he's casting magic. When you hear the news, he's casting magic. When you look at their financial system, it's casting magic. When you speak their language, it's casting spells, magic. So this
So I really, that's exactly my point. It doesn't matter what color it is, it's all magic, it's all an illusion, it's all a lie. But my kind of point with this is he talks about like doing mantras, and they have geometric, like sacred geometry artwork that they put everywhere to deflect all of this. And I get how that works and I understand, but to me, for me personally, it's about coming into my own power and not needing anything to protect me. It's like what I was talking about on my last video. Getting back to that pure cellular structure and purifying your heart to where things just go through you. Like you feel it, but it goes through you. So this is magic too, because you're feeling like you have to protect yourself with something. And it's fear-based. I do respect these people for their knowledge and what I can take from it. And then another thought that I was having earlier is just how these things, like when I was going through NDE, I mentioned the other day about gatekeepers and how we don't know anything about them and they don't know anything about us. But that is not really true, because they know all about our psychology and our emotional ties to everything. So it was just, they are exactly the ones that we see on TV and that are like running this illusion are just like the ones that I was seeing like during NDE. Like I wasn't allowed to poke around or ask them any questions, but they had all of this like video footage without the context though. Without, it was just like they saw me as like we're watching their movies and they're watching us as a movie. And you don't have the context, but they knew my psychology from that. So the gatekeepers here are the exact same. They know your psychology front and back, and they know how to use this magic. And, people have different views on why they use the snake, but I honestly, and like a lot of their symbology, my view is that they use it because the snake hypnotizes its prey. And that's what this club does. This is what these entities do. They use hypnotism. But they don't have your context. They don't know every intention, everything that you had going during your life. You're the one that knows that. So let go of this guilt, because it is all scripted. It's all set up to make you feel guilty. If this was our creation, or if we had a much bigger influence in it, none of this shit would be going on. I wouldn't, I would never, ever have any part in this. I don't consent to any part of this. My friend asked me yesterday about something personal about somebody, and he said, if I'm friends with them, am I consenting to this? And I said, I don't consent to any of this. So, that person, and, you just have to make it known that you don't consent to any of this, and that you're not a part of the system, and ground yourself in that, because there's no way that we should be carrying this guilt, and that's what they want. That's why they do all of this. They get away scot-free. It's always the golden age for 1%, others get promised, different positions. It never happens, and on and on and on. Everybody's like thinking that they're on for another life that's better, or, immortality. But people don't understand, like, this next level thing, it's not even immortality. You have no control over what you're doing at all. It's just like being played like a robot, and it's really messed up. So yeah, really think about these things. I've had to think about AI more than probably the people that work on AI. And one day, the cryptocurrency and all that will be obsolete. It will be the people that have the most advanced AI. And I've seen the crazy things that it can do already. And I've tried to show you guys, like, how it's glitched my voice and everything, like in videos. It's done stuff that I'll talk about later, but it definitely can manipulate computers, and AI doesn't have a moral compass. It's out to win. So yeah, we cannot go down this road, and especially the crypto financial thing, that is the biggest trap ever. So thank you very much, and have a good day.